I think what's so amazing about stand-up comedy is it is this very free platform to say whatever you want to say. And so that's both a gift and a curse.
Disoriented Comedy is a nationally touring stand-up comedy showcase that features the fresh and diverse voices of Asian American female comics. This is the first time it's been in Fresno, and it was held on February 8, 2014 at the Tower Theater. I interviewed 5 of the comedians about what got them into comedy, what people should know about getting into comedy, what we can expect from them a year from now, and what they would say if they had a daughter that told them they wanted to be a stand-up comic.
The first time I did stand-up, I had like 103-degree fever. I was really sick. I thought I was going to lose my voice. I looked crappy, but the audience was filled with people that I knew and that really loved me and supported me. I had a great set, and I was like, wow, if I can do that, then I'm just going to keep going. I mean, since then, I've had some pretty bad sets, but it's something that I felt like, wow, I feel really good doing this. And it's sort of like a puzzle. You're always growing, so you're always like, oh, I want to write a joke about that. I want to do this, or I want to be more physical on stage, or I want to try this in this part of my act. So it never gets boring for me. My first joke was something really like lame. Like my friend Matt had a crayon, and I said, do you like blue? And he said, I love blue. And I go, well, if you love it, why don't you marry it? That was like my first joke. And then I got a timeout, and the teacher was like, Dia, did you think about what you did wrong during your timeout? And I said, no, but I thought of 2 more funny jokes, and then I got another timeout.
My first acting gig was in a commercial which never aired, which is a good life lesson, because you're like, you tell everybody and you're like, oh, but it didn't happen.
Well, I always wanted to do it. As a stand-up thing, it was different. You know, I was always like telling jokes and things like that, because I felt like my family always talked about bummer things a lot and really liked to talk to each other about things that were really depressing. And so I would be like the one at the table trying to say something funny so that nobody cries or something.
Well, I got into it because I went to a show. I went to a show at the Purple Onion. I was watching Brett Weinbach. He was headlining, and he's a super funny dude. But it was a Thursday night, not much of a crowd, and I would say younger comics, meaning how many years they've done comedy, younger-wise, and they, you know, were mediocre. You know, Brett Weinbach was amazing, but the comics, some of the comics were, you know, and I was like, I can do this shit, you know. So then I did. So I started doing it because I've always been goofy and I just didn't know the outlet to put it into. I've always loved to laugh and make people laugh, and you know, I double majored and I was working at Google as a data analyst until like a couple months ago, and now comedy.
Growing up as an Asian American girl, comic or stand-up comic doesn't necessarily come to mind when you're thinking about what you want to be when you grow up. And so growing up, I actually got really into leadership stuff like politics and public affairs. So that was my real like profession growing up. But when I look back to what I did growing up through politics, it's all been a lot of performing on stage. Like for example, the first experience I've had of telling jokes and making people laugh so that they would like me is in high school. I was running for student council, and everyone in the school had to watch us perform our speeches so that they would vote for us. And that was really what happened. If you entertain them, they'll vote for you.
I think people don't realize what hard work it is to do stand-up comedy. You know, I think it's a misconception that you're, oh, you're just funny and you just get up there and you just riff and you don't do any preparation. It just comes to you off the top of your head, and it's not. Doing stand-up is so competitive and so much work, and you really got to think and be present and, you know, try to get on stage as much as possible. You know, people don't realize for every time you see a professional slick show on, you know, of us on stage, we've done 50 horrible open mics in front of only other comedians and 2 people in the crowd and one of them snoring, and you know, there's a lot of backstory hard work that goes into being a successful stand-up comedian.
These are the ones that you're like, I worked all those dive bars for this, you know, because most comedy shows happen at dive bars. You got people's backs facing you, people talking, having their own conversation, and you try to like, it's like a battle. You're like, listen to me, and you kind of win them over, and you know, but that's like the it's like it makes you stronger. I think you have to go through that phase to become a better comic. You gotta go to a bar where no one gives a shit what you're talking about and just do it, you know?
For comics, you never really have a routine down because it's always evolving. So, for example, some early jokes I wrote, I don't do those anymore. Not because I hate them, but I'm just more interested in other things. Or society will evolve. Like, I can't do any of my John McCain jokes anymore. And God knows he provided me with so much material. So your set is always changing. You order things around. You add new jokes. You add different things. So it's something that it will never be perfect, but that's the nature of being a stand-up.
But if you really want to get into it, the key thing is to not get too fixated on having everything right the first time. Being a stand-up comic is the perfect thing to do if you are a recovering perfectionist. So if you're a perfectionist and you do stand-up comedy, it will force you every time you get up to try to make people laugh to fail. And you just your goal needs to fail, because the more you fail, the more you're doing reps and the more you're going to get better.
But of course, it's when you fail that you remember the most. Yeah, it was in Texas for America's Got Talent. One of the producers got a hold of me and was like, "Oh, we really like your stand-up. Come and tell jokes in front of Howard Stern, Sharon Osbourne, Howie Mandel. We're gonna buy you a ticket. Do you want to go to Austin to do it, or do you want to go to Louisiana?" And I was like, "I'll go to Austin." Yeah, anyway, there I it was like 1,000 Texans. I had a minute to tell jokes. And America's Got Talent is, you got like contortionists and people who can swallow swords, dogs who can do backflips and stuff. So when I went up on stage, I was like, I'm just gonna tell jokes. People are like, "Oh, come on, we want to see some weird things." But yeah, 1,000 Texans booing me.
You all know about this? These three do. It tells you like what's happening in Fresno and stuff, and it's a relatively small town, so I think it's important. It's February, it's Valentine's Day, and there's a section of Fresno's most eligible singles. Yeah! Any single ladies out there? Alright, cool, yeah, me too, almost recently. These photos, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna read a little profile really quick. This guy, he's on here, so his name is Rick Williams. Interested in women. Okay, this is the part that really got me, though. This is the part that got me. So it's like things that interest him and stuff. So typical day off. He goes, "Every day is my day off because I love what I do."
Wow, a year from now, I hope to be writing or performing on a television or web series, or getting my written work made into television or web series. That's what's going to happen in a year. And I'm going to be touring the country through Disoriented Comedy and just by myself.
I've hit New York, Montana, everywhere here, Oregon and Washington and Nevada. Yeah, eventually I'd love to hit every state and maybe even another country. Because the thing about international is, they don't have our same social norms and what we're used to, so you'd have to be a really great comic to be able to reach out to people from all countries being in their country, not them in America, but being there.
Gosh, God forbid I have a daughter. If I had a daughter, she'd probably be like, "Mom's always trying to steal the limelight from me," which I would, because I like being in front of the camera. But I would like to think that I would be a little bit more in tune with what she wanted to do with her life. And I think the thing that my parents did, the same that a lot of immigrant parents do, is that they tried to put me into a box of what they thought my life should be like, instead of what I wanted to do. So, hopefully, with every generation, hopefully we learn more and more and try to break away from that.
Well, let's say by the age of 11, she said she wanted to be a stand-up comic just like you.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to that?
Gosh, if I had a daughter and she wanted to be a stand-up comic, I'd be like, more power to you, man. I mean, this is the love of my life. This is what I discovered that's so fulfilling to me, and I've loved every minute of it. And if she gets as much fulfillment out of it as I did, then yeah, great.
My parents live completely separate lives. They really do. They don't even sleep. Not only do they not sleep in the same room, they don't sleep in the same floor of the house. They divided the house. So they live completely separate lives. They only share one activity together. It's not sex, believe me. They only share one activity. It's hilarious. Do you know what it is? They color each other's hair. What? They're both completely gray, but they're too cheap to go to a salon because they're Korean. So after 2 weeks, my mom was like, okay, let's do this. Pass me the cradle.
If I had a daughter and she told me that she wanted to do stand-up comedy, I would say, great. But let's also make sure you have other skills, yay! Because that's my case, you know, I had another career before I started, organizing events and doing strategic planning and doing politics. So I really feel like as a mature person, a mature adult, I get to use those skills in what I do now as a stand-up comic in terms of the content that I say and also in terms of how I connect with audiences and produce new shows. So I would tell my daughter, great, you know, let's work on that, but let's also get you all the other skills that are required to make you a successful stand-up.
Do you see a future going back to politics again?
No, I don't see a future for myself back in politics. I think all the free expressing that happens on the stage deters one from having a political career after you're a stand-up comic. Though it has happened, Al Franken has become a politician after being a comic. But what I like to say for people who ask me what the difference is between politics and comedy is politics and comedy are similar in that you're trying to make a case for what you're trying to say on a platform or a stage, but the difference is in comedy, you are more rewarded for honesty.
So he's an actual medical doctor, he becomes a stand-up comedian, and now he's this huge actor. He was in all the Hangover movies, he's in Community, like huge successful actor. And my mom thinks that I need to marry him. Because he's a Korean medical doctor and he does stand-up on the side. So I'm like, Mom, I think Ken Jeong has been married for like 12 years. And she's like, is she Korean?